It was raining. Again, the sky was the color of a bruised plum. I felt a heavy, grey melancholy settling in my chest. Instead of fighting it with upbeat pop music, I put on my bathrobe. I peered through the Venetian blinds. The city is a cold place, and the coffee is cold too. Shadows stretched across the floor. By framing my sadness as a stylistic choice, it didn't feel like depression. It felt like a mystery. I wasn't just sad. I was a brooding protagonist with a complex past. The shadows offered a safe space. In noir, it's okay to be moody. In fact, it's required. I sat in the dark, looking cool, waiting for the plot to thicken. My anxiety was spiking. I looked at my bedroom. It didn't look like a room. It looked like a set from the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. The pile of laundry looked like a jagged mountain of doom. The shadow of the coat rack looked like a claw. The angles of the room felt sharp and screaming. I realized, my external world is reflecting my internal chaos. This style uses bold, distorted shapes to scream feelings so loudly even timid viewers understand. I acknowledged the monsters in the room. I see you, Laundry Mountain. You represent my fear of adulthood. By naming the style, the fear became art. It was just a set design. And set designs can be struck. I folded one shirt. The mountain became slightly less jagged. I went to the supermarket wearing sweatpants and zero makeup. I looked tired. The fluorescent lights were unflattering. Perfect, I thought. We are shooting Italian neorealism. This style rejects the glamour of Hollywood. It focuses on real people in real locations. It says your ordinary life matters. I watched a man debate between two brands of pasta sauce for 5 minutes. It was riveting. It was the human condition. I realized that my own struggle, carrying 3 heavy bags because I refused to use a cart, was a profound story of endurance. I walked home with my milk and eggs, feeling like the hero of a very grounded, very poignant masterpiece about the beauty of simply existing. I couldn't focus. I started a book, then I watered a plant, then I put on sunglasses inside, then I ate a pickle. I am so scatterbrained, I worried. Non, my inner director corrected. You are French New Wave. This style is about playfulness. It breaks the rules. It uses jump cuts. It doesn't care about continuity. I decided to embrace the choppy rhythm of my day. I was spontaneous. I was cool. I was Godard. I danced in the kitchen for no reason. I narrated my life out of order. Encouraging myself to color outside the cinematic lines made the chaos feel like jazz. I wasn't distracted. I was avant-garde. I was overwhelmed by technology. Too many screens, too many filters. I issued a manifesto, Dogma 95. I took a vow of minimalism, no artificial lighting. I turned off the lamps, no soundtrack. I turned off the podcast, handheld only. I walked around, no superficial action. I lay on the rug. Stripping away the flashy gadgets proved that I didn't need high production value to be heard. In the silence, I found a story I had forgotten, the story of me, just breathing. It was a low-budget production, but the reviews were fantastic. It was 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I walked into the dark kitchen. The digital clock on the microwave glowed neon green. The router blinked rhythmic blue. I opened the fridge, and the LED light washed over me in a cold, futuristic beam. It's classic noir that went to therapy, bought some LEDs, and got a smartphone. I wasn't just a hungry person. I was a detective in a cyberpunk city, investigating the case of the missing leftover pizza. The colored lights reflected off the linoleum. It felt moody and modern. The city never sleeps, I whispered to the humming refrigerator, and neither does my appetite. I ate a slice of cold pizza in the blue glow, feeling like a stylish anti-hero in a world of shadows and circuits. I'm currently fleshing out the nuances of merengue, kizomba, zouk, and lambada. The goal is to capture the essence of each dance within a broader, humorous narrative. I'm focusing on how these styles can be integrated into a first-person, soft novel format, still nailing down the right balance of lightheartedness without veering into the absurd, while ensuring the authenticity of the dances remains intact. My focus has shifted towards the humor angle within each dance. I'm building on the marching band for hips concept of merengue, highlighting the deceiving simplicity and irrepressible joy. With kizomba, I'm exploring the humorous contrast between personal space and the intimate connection it requires, starting with an awkward encounter that melts into a zen-like state. Zouk is proving interesting. It's about letting go, like floating on a cloud with your eyes closed. The boneless feeling is prominent, almost like I'm underwater. The humor is found in the incongruity of hair whipping, the need for goggles perhaps. I'm now drafting a section that highlights the flow and surrender of movement. Even if one doesn't have long hair, it's the feeling that counts. Lambada is shaping up nicely as well. It's sunshine and nostalgia, a trip back to the 90s with that soundtrack we all know. The humor is in its supposed naughtiness, contrasting with the joy. Currently, I'm immersed in refining the narratives for merengue, kizomba, and zouk. Merengue's marching element is now center stage, emphasizing the irrepressible hip sway. Kizomba's humor revolves around the breaking of personal space boundaries and achieving a state of tranquil flow through shared connection. Zouk's focus remains on that sense of fluidity and surrender, even without long hair to whip, but it needs additional focus. I'm now revising the Zouk narrative to capture the feeling of being underwater, emphasizing the elasticity and warm toffee sensation of the movements, adding a dash of humor with the phantom hair joke for those with shorter hair. For Lambada, the forbidden aspect is now less prominent. It's more about the joyful, nostalgic feeling of the dance, especially how it transports me back to a 90s beach commercial with its distinct soundtrack and swirling skirt, regardless of my outfit. I'm focusing on the irresistible joy of the dance that makes it forbidden because I can't stop smiling. If walking had a double espresso and a zest for life, it would be merengue. The music kicked in, a relentless, joyous train of drums and horns, and I realized that complexity was overrated. Just march, the rhythm told me. So I did. Left, right, left, right. It sounds pedestrian, quite literally, but then the magic happened. As I stepped in place, my hips woke up from their day-long slumber and decided to join the parade. I wasn't trying to wiggle, it was just a side effect of the joy. My partner and I were holding hands, grinning like kids on a playground, essentially walking nowhere very fast. We spun into a pretzel, tangled up in our own arms, laughing as we figured out which way was up. It's the comfort food of dance. No stress, no counting complicated beats, just a marching band for the soul, where the only requirement is to keep moving and try not to let your smile cramp up. I generally prefer a solid 3-foot perimeter of personal space in my daily life. Then I met Kizomba, and my personal space bubble didn't just pop, it gently dissolved into the ether. Lean in, the music whispered. It was a slow, hypnotic beat that felt less like a song and more like a heartbeat. I rested my forehead lightly against my partner's shoulder, or near it at least. We weren't really dancing steps, we were shuffling through a shared dream. It felt like a hug that had decided to go for a very slow walk. There was no rush, no flashy turns, just a grounding, zen-like connection where gravity seemed to work a little differently. I closed my eyes for a moment, trusting the lead completely. It was surprisingly therapeutic. I realized that in a loud, busy world, standing chest to chest with a stranger and simply breathing in time with the music was the cheapest, most effective stress relief I'd ever found. The whistle blew, and suddenly the room wasn't a drafty dance studio anymore, it was the streets of Rio, and I was the parade. Samba is impossibly happy. It's a rhythm that refuses to let you be grumpy. As the drums kicked in, my knees started their job, a constant rhythmic bouncing that felt a bit like I was testing the suspension on a very fancy car. Party arms, the instructor cheered. I threw my hands up. My hips were doing something fascinating, drawing figure eights that I hadn't authorized but was delighted to witness. It was a carnival compressed into a 3-foot radius. I wasn't just dancing, I was vibrating with joy. Sure, I occasionally missed a step and looked more like I was trying to shake a pebble out of my shoe than a professional sambista, but the serotonin hit was undeniable. I felt colorful, I felt loud. For 3 minutes, I was a human confetti cannon, shaking away the worries of the week. I am, by nature, a person who apologizes to automatic doors if they don't open fast enough. But when the Paso Doble music starts, that dramatic, trumpet-heavy fanfare, I become someone else entirely. I puffed out my chest. I lifted my chin so high I could inspect the ceiling tiles for cracks. In this dance, I was the matador. My partner was the cape, or sometimes the bull, depending on the choreography and our mood. I stomped my foot, appel, a sound meant to command attention. It felt wonderfully theatrical. I marched across the floor with a sur le place, my steps sharp and aggressive, channeling a level of intensity usually reserved for people returning a defective blender. But it was a safe, playful aggression. I wasn't fighting a beast, I was fighting the concept of boredom. As I twisted my body into a dramatic shape, freezing as the music crashed, I felt a surge of unearned heroism. I held the pose, feeling fierce, powerful, and only slightly concerned that my dramatic scowl looked more like I had forgotten where I parked my car. There is something profoundly healing about making a lot of noise on purpose. Flamenco isn't just dancing, it's a conversation you have with the floor. I stood tall, my hands twisting above my head like blooming flowers. Then the guitar strummed, dark and soulful, and I began to clap. Not the polite applause of a golf tournament, but deep, resonant palms that echoed in my chest. I furrowed my brow. In flamenco, you don't smile, you feel. I tapped into every minor annoyance of the last month, the traffic, the cold coffee, the slow Wi-Fi, and I channeled it all into my feet. Rat-a-tat-tat, boom! I stomped the floor with satisfying precision. It was angry clapping, yes, but it was the good kind of anger, the kind that leaves you lighter afterward. My skirt swished, my heels hammered out a rhythm that felt like a heartbeat, and for a moment, I was a tragic, beautiful figure of passion. When the music stopped, I took a deep breath, the tension gone, replaced by the sweet exhaustion of having left it all on the wood. The bongo drums started their soft, rapid-fire tapping, and the room seemed to get a little cozier. Bachata is the dance equivalent of a warm cup of tea on a rainy day, intimate, soothing, and sweet. I took my partner's hands. We stepped to the side. 1, 2, 3, tap. That little hip hop on the fourth count, that's the magic. It's not flashy. It's just a little accent mark on the movement, a soft nudge that says, I'm here, I'm listening. We moved in a small square, swaying side to side. It felt like a dating app algorithm had come to life and actually worked perfectly. Then came the body roll. Think of a wave, I told myself, trying to undulate my spine with grace rather than looking like I was trying to wiggle out of a tight sweater. My partner smiled, following the lead, and we dipped slightly. It wasn't about showing off for an audience, it was about the little bubble of space between us. It was a 3-minute romance where the only expectation was to step on the beat and be kind to each other. I spun her gently, caught her hand, and felt a quiet, simple happiness settle in my chest. The electronic beat began to build, a rapid-fire thump-thump-thump that sounded like a robot's heart rate. Shuffle isn't about moving forward, it's about the illusion that you could take off into the stratosphere if you just moved your feet fast enough. I dropped into the running man. My feet slid backward and forward, skimming the floor with a friction-defying slickness. To an observer, I looked like I was sprinting to catch a bus that never arrived. To me, I was flying. I transitioned into the T-step, twisting my ankles in a way that felt like I was putting out cigarettes with style. It was a cardio workout that tricked my brain into thinking I was at a party rather than a gym. I felt cool, I felt electric. I was essentially a hamster in the world's most exciting wheel, running toward nowhere but arriving at a state of pure, sweaty bliss. My sneakers were a blur, my problems were left in the imaginary dust, and for a few minutes, I was the fastest person standing perfectly still. The music shifted to a deep, soulful house track, music that feels like it's vibrating up through the floorboards directly into your souls. House dancing is a conversation, and my feet had a lot to say. Jack your body, the rhythm whispered. I found the groove, a gentle, rippling wave through my torso that felt like bobbing in a warm ocean. But while my upper body was chilling on a metaphorical raft, my feet were doing advanced calculus, heel-toe step, cross-step heel. My sneakers became drumsticks. I tapped out complex little rhythms against the wood, creating a counter-melody to the bass. It felt incredibly satisfying, like popping bubble wrap with my toes. I wasn't just listening to the music, I was physically drawing it on the floor. It was a joyful, sweaty meditation where my brain turned off and my feet took the steering wheel, happily driving us through a landscape of intricate steps and soulful beats. I stood perfectly still, breathing in the funk beat. Then, snap. I flexed my arm muscles hard, creating a sharp pop on the snare drum. Popping is the art of looking like a very stylish action figure that's slightly malfunctioning. I wasn't having a spasm. I was hitting a beat with the force of my biceps. I sent a wave down my right arm. I imagined a marble rolling from my shoulder. over my elbow, across my wrist, and out my fingertips. It flowed through me, smooth and liquid, before I froze again. Click. It's a strange, wonderful feeling to pretend you are a machine. It takes the pressure off being a human for a while. Humans are messy and emotional, robots are cool and precise. I ticked my head to the side, tick, 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 mimicking a clock. I looked in the mirror and saw a glitch in the simulation, a character frame skipping through reality. It was silly, yes, but hitting those pops felt like popping the cap off a soda bottle. A release of pressure that left me feeling crisp and refreshed. If pure happiness had a physical form, it would be locking. The funk music started, horns blazing, bass guitar strutting, and my face instinctively split into a grin. You cannot lock with a frown, it's against the laws of physics. I rolled my wrists, the twirls, like I was winding up a toy. Then I pointed sharply at the corner of the room. You! There was no one there, but the imaginary person was definitely impressed. Then came the lock. I froze mid-movement, snapping into a pose like I was pausing a movie for a snack break. It's a game of musical chairs played with your own joints. 1 second, I was loose and groovy. The next, I was a statue of pure confidence. Surprise! My elbows seemed to shout as I snapped them back into motion. It felt like I was hosting a party for my own limbs. I high-fived the air, I did a knee drop carefully, and I froze again with a ta-da energy. It was campy, it was loud, and it was the most fun I could have without actually telling a joke. I woke up this morning to discover that my living room wall, where I hang my prized velvet portrait of a surfing corgi, had somehow scooted itself dead center between the two windows. The perfect symmetry made me itch the way a too tight turtleneck does during allergy season. So I shuffled the couch, the rug, and, yes, the corgi 3 neat grid lines to the right. Instantly the world exhaled. There is something soothing about putting your focal point slightly off-center, as though telling your eyeballs, hey, no one has to be the main character all the time. While I admired my handiwork, my anxious brain whispered, what if guests think you just eyeballed it? But that's the magic. Nobody notices good composition. They only feel strangely, wonderfully at ease, the way you feel when a friend slides the last fry toward you without making a fuss. I toasted my triumph with lukewarm chamomile and promised myself I'd extend the same gentle generosity to my own imperfections. After all, if the corgi can surf off to the right, I can surf through Monday. After lunch, I filmed a quick vlog about my new houseplant, Kevin, a snake plant who slouches like an overworked accountant. The first take decapitated me just below the hairline, making me look like a friendly potato in a sweater. Second take, I tilted the camera down, too much forehead. Viewers could practically see my unpaid bills pulsating beneath the skin. Third take struck gold, just enough breathing space above my noggin to let stray ideas float like cartoon thought bubbles. That little strip of nothingness? Emotional support air. It says, grow, stretch, your thoughts will not be squished today. Kevin nodded approvingly, or perhaps listed to the side. He does that. I finished recording, patted my skull like a good dog, and felt 10% lighter. Amazing what room to think can do for a person, and a plant named Kevin. Evening stroll, golden hour, pigeons gossiping overhead. I decided to film my friend Marisol roller skating down the path. First attempt, I framed her flush against the right edge of the shot. Result, she looked like she was seconds from slamming into an invisible force field. Marisol invoked the universal skater's complaint. Dude, give me runway. So I panned left, gifting her ample space to skate into the future. Suddenly, the footage breathed. She rolled forward gracefully, and I sensed the audience, all 7 YouTube subscribers, leaning back in relief. That's lead room, visual permission to proceed. We all deserve a little acreage of possibility in front of us. Otherwise, life feels like walking down a hallway lined with open freezer doors. I reminded myself to offer that same generous buffer to friends mid-sentence, to strangers merging in traffic, and to myself when the to-do list gets pushy. Nighttime. I lit 2 candles on the coffee table, same height, same scent, because sometimes the soul craves a straight-down-the-middle hug. I framed them so perfectly centered the camera's grid lines sang barbershop harmony. There's a secret calm in bilateral balance. It whispers, all pieces are accounted for, nothing is going to topple while you're sipping cocoa. Of course, perfect symmetry all the time would make life feel like a perpetual dental visit. Sterile, bright, vaguely judgmental. But as a nightly ritual, it soothes my jittery neurons like a weighted blanket for the eyeballs. I blew out one candle just before bed, couldn't resist a mischievous, asymmetrical wink, and chuckled at my own irreverence. Even in order, a dash of chaos keeps the plot spicy. Some days I live on the grid, other days I dance off the line, whether I'm leaving headroom for ideas, lead room for dreams, or indulging in a moment of mirror-perfect symmetry. I've learnt the frame is less about containing life and more about giving it space to unfurl. Also, Kevin the snake plant is now a foot taller. Coincidence? I think not. It was 3 p.m, the universal hour of I need a treat. I stood next to the microwave, waiting for the popcorn to pop. I realized we were perfectly framed. To the left of the frame, the microwave humming stoically, a reliable supporting actor. To the right of the frame, me, staring intensely at the digital timer, wearing fuzzy socks. A two-shot establishes a relationship between two characters. In this moment, the relationship was deep, primal, and buttery. We were partners in crime. We were a team. The frame held us both in a cozy visual hug, acknowledging that for the next 2 minutes, there is no bond stronger than a human and their appliance. When the ding happened, it was the emotional climax of the scene. We did it, microwave. We really did it. I needed to vent about an email I received that contained the phrase "per our previous discussion." I sat down across from Fernie, my Boston fern. I positioned the camera behind Fernie. Through the viewfinder, I saw the fuzzy green blur of fronds in the foreground, the shoulder, and my own face in sharp focus in the background. It felt like Fernie was listening intently. The fronds framed me with empathy. This angle implies connection. It implies a conversation is happening. I just feel like per our previous discussion is passive-aggressive, you know, I told the plant. Fernie said nothing, but his shoulder, or stem, looked very supportive. I felt heard. Sometimes you just need a green, leafy shoulder to cry on. Metaphorically, please don't waterlog the plant. My 2-year-old niece visited. She spent 20 minutes fascinated by the pattern on the rug. I wondered what the allure was. I laid down on my stomach, chin on the carpet. Suddenly I was seeing through her eyes. The rug wasn't just beige, it was a landscape of woolen valleys and mountains. A lost Cheerio under the sofa looked like a hidden treasure chest. The cat looked like a mythical beast. Borrowing her eyes, no optometrist required, was a vacation from being tall. Down here, the world was huge and full of mysteries. I realized I spend too much time looking at eye-level stress and not enough time appreciating floor-level wonders. I stayed there until my knees clicked, enjoying the view from the bottom of the world. I fell asleep reading on the couch. I woke up sliding slowly toward the floor, my head wedged against the armrest at a 45-degree angle. I opened one eye. The bookshelf was diagonal. The window was crooked. The floor was threatening to become the wall. Usually this shot signals chaos or villainy in a movie. For me, it signaled that I had achieved maximum relaxation. I was so fluid I had tilted the horizon line. Instead of panicking and straightening up, I accepted the playful unease. Yes, I thought, the world is askew, gravity is merely a suggestion. I lived in the diagonal for a while, enjoying a perspective where nothing had to be upright, including me. I dropped a box of pasta, penny everywhere, a tragedy in dry wheat. I stood over the mess and looked down. From up here, the scattered pasta didn't look like a disaster. It looked tiny, adorable even. The problem was physically smaller than me. The high angle tells the subject, "You are small and I am big." I looked at the penny and said, "You have no power here, Noodles. I am the giant of the kitchen and I possess a broom." It shrunk my trouble instantly. If you ever feel overwhelmed by a mess, just stand on a chair, safely, and look down at it. It's hard to be intimidated by something that looks like confetti from the ceiling. I swept it up with the grace of a benevolent titan.